You don't say it, but you think it. Sitting in a room full of people and realizing you don't actually belong there. Not because you're better, but because you see more. You notice things others ignore. You understand things they don't even question. And slowly, you start staying quiet. But here's the real question. Is that intelligence? Or is it the reason you feel so alone? You don't say it out loud. But it's there. That quiet thought in the back of your mind. The one you swallow before it reaches your lips. Because you already know. If you said it, people would look at you differently. So you nod. You smile. You play along. But inside, you're thinking something completely different. And the strange part is, the smarter you are, the more this happens. There are thoughts you carry. Not because they're wrong, but because they're too true. And today, we're going to uncover them. The 7 things smart people think, but almost never say. Imagine this. You're sitting in a group. Friends, coworkers, maybe even family. Everyone's talking, laughing, sharing opinions. And you're there too. But not really. Because while they're speaking, you're observing. Not just what they're saying, but how they're saying it. What they're avoiding. What they really mean. You notice patterns others don't. Contradictions. Insecurities. Hidden motives. And in that moment, you realize something. You see more than you say. Not because you can't speak, but because you choose not to. And that's where these thoughts begin. First thought. Most people don't actually think deeply. You notice it in conversations. People repeat opinions. They didn't form themselves. They react emotionally, without questioning why. And sometimes you want to say it. You want to ask deeper questions. But you stop. Because you already know. They're not looking for truth. They're looking for agreement. So instead you stay quiet. Not out of arrogance, but awareness. Second thought. This conversation is meaningless. It's not that you don't care about people. You do. But small talk? It drains you. Talking about things that don't matter. Repeating the same surface-level discussions. It feels empty. And yet you play along. Because you understand something important. Connection matters more than content. Still, deep down, you crave something real. Something honest. Something that actually means something. Pause for a second. Think about the last time you felt truly understood. Not just heard, but understood. It's rare, right? That's exactly why these thoughts exist. Third thought. I see who you really are. You notice inconsistencies. The way someone acts differently, depending on who's around. The subtle tone shifts. The forced smiles. The hidden tension. And sometimes, you understand people better than they understand themselves. But here's the problem. You can't say it. Because truth like that makes people uncomfortable. So instead you observe. You adjust. You protect your energy. And you let people reveal themselves. Over time. Fourth thought. It's not worth explaining. You've tried before. You've tried to explain your perspective, your reasoning, your depth. But it didn't land. Not because you were wrong, but because they weren't ready. And that's when you learn something powerful. Not everyone is meant to understand you. So now, you simplify. Or you stay silent. Because you've realized being understood by the wrong people is more exhausting than being misunderstood by the right ones. Fifth thought. I need space more than I need people. You enjoy solitude. Not because you're antisocial, but because your mind is always active. You process, reflect, analyze. And being around people too much? It overloads you. But here's the thing. You don't always say this. Because people take it personally. They think you're distant, cold, uninterested. But the truth? You just need space to stay yourself. Let that sit for a moment. How often do you feel guilty? For needing time alone? For not wanting constant interaction? Maybe it's not something to fix. Maybe it's something to understand. Sixth thought. I already know how this will end. Patterns. You see them everywhere. In relationships. In behavior. In decisions. Someone says something. And you can already predict what happens next. Not because you're psychic, but because you've seen it before. And sometimes it's frustrating. Watching people walk into situations you already know won't end well. But again, you stay quiet. Because experience has taught you. People don't learn from warnings. They learn from consequences. Seventh thought. I feel alone, even around people. This is the one no one talks about. Because from the outside, you seem fine. You're present. Engaged. Maybe even smiling. But inside, there's a gap. Not because people aren't there, but because very few truly connect. It's the cost of awareness. When you think deeply, feel deeply, see deeply, you also realize how rare it is to find someone on the same level. And that realization? It can feel isolating. But here's the twist. These thoughts, they're not a curse. They're a signal. A sign that your mind is wired to go deeper, to question more, to understand beyond the surface. Yes, it can feel lonely. Yes, it can be exhausting. But it also gives you something rare. Clarity. The ability to see through noise, to understand people, to navigate life with awareness. And the truth is, you're not the only one who thinks this way. There are others out there who feel exactly what you feel, who notice what you notice. You just haven't met them yet. So maybe the goal isn't to silence these thoughts. And it's not to force yourself to fit into shallow conversations. Maybe the goal is simpler. Find the few people who don't make you feel like you have to hide your mind. And until then, it's okay to think deeply. It's okay to stay quiet sometimes. Because not every thought is meant to be spoken. But the right ones, with the right people, can change everything.